Hey there, it's Patrick. I've got my bottle of Rasasi Hawas Atlantis, one of their newer releases, and I've been wearing this for just under a week, sometimes twice a day, just to really push through and see what occasions I would wear it in, how I really feel about it. Did I get tired of it within the wear period? So yeah, let me give you my thoughts. So in my fragrance journey, I can't really say that I've worn anything like this before or even smelled anything like this. I haven't really explored the oceanic family of fragrances all that much. So I'm not really sure if this is going to be duping anything or inspired by anything. I've heard TLTG say that you can get Cinque Terre a little bit with less pine resin, I believe, or just green pine in general, and you replace that with galbanum. Another note, galbanum I'm not too familiar with. Always nice to explore new notes and kind of increase your palette in the fragrance world. So earlier I did spray this on my right hand. So on my right hand I do have the dry down, probably sprayed it on 10 minutes, and then I just put that spritz on my left. I would say the opening is going to be the most challenging part of the fragrance. You really hit with the heavy mossiness, the heavy galbanum, and so it just gives this really green oceanic feel that could be kind of vegetal, cucumbery maybe. I know sometimes people refer to it as like maybe also like a rhubarb kind of vibe as well. So yeah, more of that vegetable feeling. What I haven't heard from other reviews is as it dries down, the mineralic notes really do become more sweet than you'd realize. So going into this fragrance, I thought the minerality would be kind of like Ganymede, like a saffron, mineralic, that metallic vibe. But really it starts to get leveled out by more and more sweetness as you get deeper into the dry down. So I think this makes it stand out a little bit from more of those really true metallic, mineralic fragrances. If I were to use imagery to explain the fragrance versus just, talking about notes, it kind of reminds me of stones or just rocks in general on a beach, with that dampness and the saltiness grinding against each other, creating sand and sediment. So it really does evoke this image of being seaside or maybe being on a boat and smelling the nuance that you get from salted water. I have heard other people explain it that way as well. That being said, it's not literally salty like you may get from something like 40 knots. It really is just that deep greenness, slight vegetal quality, and then you go into deep dark sweetness as it continues to dry down. If you're into the scent, I could definitely see it being rocked in professional settings. I wouldn't overspray just to ensure that, if it is a fragrance that others around you aren't really comfortable with or just are, just unfamiliar with, you still can wear the fragrance you enjoy, just not blow out the room. While I did just get the fragrance, I would say performance is no issue. Rasasi generally keeps that tried and true in the Hawas line. So I think you're gonna get pretty good longevity and a strong push within that hour and a half to 2 hours in the beginning. So really nothing to complain about. I wouldn't say it's a standout perhaps, but again, it is a pretty new production, so that could change over time. I really do think galbanum is interesting as a note, and I do think it's nice that it's kind of the center point. It's kind of nice to see them try a new direction, if you will, rather than just doing twists on the most popular fragrances of the year. This is definitely out of left field in terms of the direction they've gone in lately. That being said, I wouldn't really say it goes back to the original identity of Hawas either. But then again, like I said, this could be an inspired by, and I just don't know what it's inspired by, considering I'm, newer to fragrances and new to the profile of notes in general and the oceanic family of fragrances. So I do really hope to wear this more just on the daily. I could see this being a new take on a freshie that has a little more oomph to it. So if you do want to wear it in these colder months, at least where I'm at in Colorado, I think you could really push through, and at the same time you're wearing something that's kind of out of the ordinary and challenging yourself if that's what you want to do within your fragrance journey. I've spent just under a week wearing this, sometimes multiple wears within the same day reapplying, just to wear it in different occasions. And I wouldn't necessarily say that I would recommend this to somebody right off the bat. I have friends who are deeper into the fragrance journey than I am, some people who have just started who are my friends. And I would say on either side of the discussion, I still think this is something they need to try to see if this really suits their style and their needs. Because even in the oceanic family, I do feel like there's a lot of variety and various levels of versatility. So yeah, this is really not going to be to everyone's taste, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's great when a fragrance can create a little bit more of a polarization, especially coming from Hawas within Rasasi, growing so fast as they have within this past year. It's interesting to see them take this step. And it does make me wonder what will be coming next within the Hawas line or with Rasasi in general going forward and their strategic decisions as a brand, as an identity. This was pretty fun to make. This is my first long form version of a video. I really got into fragrances within clones as they were the, cheaper way to get into fragrances. I'll leave that for another discussion. I think that could be really interesting to see the pros, cons, alternatives to clones. Really, I think there's something for everybody within the fragrance world. There's no judgment. There's no need for assertiveness. You should just enjoy what you want. We'll dive into that another time. Thanks for checking me out today. I hope that was helpful, and I hope to see you in another one. I'll be back soon. All right, take care, guys.